Hi there, Joni here with Studio Seva. Gonna go through today a nice little fun flow that I like to do around the holidays. It's energizing, it's invigorating, relaxing as well. So has the best part of both worlds of yoga, that strengthening and that relaxation and stretching qualities that we look for. So join along, follow along, just even watch if you want, and grab your family and friends. And Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Let's get to it. From tabletop pose, stretch back into child's pose with an exhale. Let your forehead rest on the floor and your arms stretch above head. Deep, slow, full breath in through the nose, out through the nose. Set up your Ujjayi breath here. That little sighing sound in the back of your throat. Use this time to stretch out your thighs, your knees, your hips, and your back, as well as your shoulders. And then on your inhale, lift up to tabletop. Roll down into a very easy cobra or upward facing dog and stretch out the front part of your body here. Take those shoulder blades, let them slide down the length of your spine towards your sacrum. Keep your chest open. You can start in cobra and then deepen into upward facing dog by lifting the thighs off the floor. On your exhale, roll over your toes and press back through Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Let your gaze fall under. Let your head hang heavy. Press your arms straight, press your legs straight, and then spread out your fingers evenly, pressing into your finger pads. On your inhale, walk up into a standing forward fold, looking up halfway, and then exhale, forward folding deep into your legs, hugging in. Keep your belly pulling away from your thighs. And let your chest lengthen down towards your shins. On your inhale, leading with your sternum, stretch all the way up, Urdhva Hastasana, upward hands. Exhale, Samastitihi. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, look up, half forward fold, lengthen out. And then on your exhale, step back into downward facing dog. Inhale, wave forward into plank. Chaturanga, exhale. Inhale, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Hollow out your armpits here. Slow, full breath in and out of your nose. Remembering that Ujjayi breath. Contraction of the whisper muscles to create that soft sighing sound in the back of your throat. Step up with your inhale, look up, and then exhale, hug into your legs. Root to rise, inhale, Urdhva Hastasana, tailbone south, fingertips north, and exhale, back to stand. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. And then slowly make your way back. Chaturanga Dandasana. You can shoot or step back. Upward facing dog, inhale, and exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Let your heels disappear down behind your toes towards the floor. Use your thigh muscles to pressure your thighs back. Stepping or hopping up as you inhale, look up, and then exhale, hug into your legs. Inhale, lead with the sternum, tailbone south, fingers north. Exhale, Samastitihi. Again, inhale, Urdhva. Exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, look up. And exhale, make your way back nice and slow. You can play with some different transitions if you want to start to play with handstand press up and back. Or you can keep it simple and just step back. Make your way through that vinyasa. Exhale, downward facing dog. Draw your belly in. Draw the ribs in. Again, check out your head. Make sure it's hanging heavily and your gaze is to your belly or your thighs. And use your calf muscles to pull those shins back. Prepare to step or hop up on your next inhale. You can play with handstand presses at any time if it's part of your practice. If not, skip it. Inhale all the way up, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, Samastitihi. From Samastitihi, bend your knees, Utkatasana chair, forward fold over straight legs. On the inhale, look up halfway, and exhale, Chaturanga, make your way back. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Again, turn your left heel down, step your right foot up. Warrior One, Virabhadrasana A. Exhale, take your hands down, pull that right leg back, chaturanga. Inhale into your back bend. Exhale, downward facing dog. Turn your right heel down and step your left foot up in between your hands. Bend the left knee deep. Inhale, Warrior One, Virabhadrasana A. Exhale, place your palms on either side of your left foot and draw that left leg back, lowering down with armpit, chest open. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. A few breaths here. And while you're here, again, check out those thighs. They're engaged to press your femurs back. Fire up those calf muscles to pull your shins back. Straight arms, straight legs. Prepare to step or hop up to the top of the mat, your transition of choice. And forward fold over your legs as you land. Inhale, chair pose, Utkatasana, bend your knees, take your hands up. And then keep pressing into those legs as you exhale, release your arms, straight legs, Samastitihi. Forward fold, Padangusthasana, grab your big toes as your feet wiggle out, hips width apart. Bend your elbows away from each other. Make more space in between your belly and your thighs, and less space in between your chest and your legs. Inhale, look up. And then switch the posture to Padahastasana. So just slowly place those hands underneath your feet, moving the fingers under toe side. Still bending the elbows out and still creating more space between belly and legs and less between chest and legs. Inhale, look up. And then start to point your knees out and your toes out in the same direction and squat down into garland pose, Malasana. Use your triceps on the insides of your thighs to open up. You can wiggle side to side here if that feels good. So you're going to transition back to the back of your mat and play with the transition of your choice. Crane pose is a fun one. Knees up around the triceps. And then shoot it back, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, Cobra or Upward Facing Dog. Exhale, Downward Facing Dog. Step your right foot up in between your hands. Turn your left heel down. Warrior One. Inhale. Look up. Watch those palms move closer together if you can. Take your hands down. Take that right foot back. Chaturanga. Exhale. Inhale, Up Dog. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana, Downward Facing Dog. Go ahead and step that left foot up. Turn the right heel down. Warrior One, Virabhadrasana A. Exhale, take your hands down. Pull that left leg back. Chaturanga, firm thighs, firm core. Inhale, open your chest, upward facing. Exhale, downward facing. Check out your hands and make sure that you've got the outer ring of your palms sealed. All of the finger pads pressing. Inhale your knees to the floor and then start to walk your arms forward, Anahatasana. So your hips stack over your knees. Forehead, cheek, or chin can rest on the floor. Eventually your armpits can come towards the floor. And then wiggle it back, child's pose as you exhale. Inhale, wave yourself forward. Exhale, downward facing dog. Prepare to step or hop up top of the mat as you inhale. Maybe a little handstand time if you want. And lower down slowly. Forward fold, hug into the legs. Utkatasana, chair pose. Inhale, reach your hands. Look up and watch them touch maybe. And then press to straight leg stand, Samastitihi. Again, grab those big toes. Padangusthasana. Hug in. Hollow out your belly. You might find more space this time around. Just don't force it. Go with it as your breath takes you there. Padahastasana, place those palms under. Maybe wiggle the toes into the wrists and give your wrist a little massage from all that handstand work. It sometimes feels really good to do that. And then again, knees out, toes out in the same direction, lower down. Maybe you find more space here again. Transition to the back of the mat. Your mode of transportation. You can take crane pose. You can step your feet back, shoot them back. Chaturanga, exhale. Inhale, Cobra or Upward Facing Dog. And exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Turn that left heel in and down so your right foot steps up. Warrior One. Inhale, Virabhadrasana A. Exhale, place those palms. Step back, Chaturanga. Cobra or Upward Facing Dog. Inhale. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Go ahead and turn that right heel in and down. Step that left leg up in between your hands. Root to rise. Press into the outer edge of your right foot as you reach up. And place your hands. Draw that left leg back. Chaturanga. Inhale, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Rolling back down towards the heels. Knees to the floor as you inhale. Fix your shorts, apparently, and your shirt. And then one more time, Anahatasana. Take those arms forward, stack your hips over your knees. And then if you need more, you can always straighten your legs out. Only if you need more. Make wise decisions. Lower your knees back down. Wiggle it back, child's pose. Move around if it feels good. Make your way into Dolphin Shushulasana and Pincha. If you're making your way towards Pincha Mayurasana, a forearm stand, you're going to lift one leg and just test the waters. Lower it down, lift the other leg, maybe even lift up onto the opposite of the base leg's toes. And see how it feels to get a little higher in the air. Release that second leg down and then press into downward facing dog. One arm or both arms together. And then prepare again to transition to the top of the mat, standing or hopping up. Look up, inhale, exhale, Uttanasana, forward fold. Utkatasana, chair pose. Bend your knees, reach your hands. Samastitihi, exhale. Padangusthasana. Grab those big toes with the two index and middle fingers, the peace fingers. Forward fold. Hug in. Inhale, lengthen out. Padahastasana, foot hand pose. And keep that breath moving steadily, slow and full. Inhale, look up. Again, Malasana, garland pose. Take the sit bones down. Stretch those hips out a little bit more here. Don't be afraid to move. You can always move around to get into the corners, the four corners of the body, the shoulders, and the hips. This time, just step that left leg back and move it into lizard lunge. And so you can forward fold here. You can take the left elbow down. You can walk your arms forward. And then I like to walk off to the side, letting that right knee stay right where it is. Resist letting that knee follow. So the right knee points straight forward if you walk off to the left. And then come back through center and set up for a lunge. On your inhale, reach your hands up. Press into the front edge of your right heel. And then release your hands as you exhale. Tuck your left toes. Turn the left heel in and down and start to straighten your right leg for Utthita Trikonasana, extended triangle pose. Your right hand can rest on your right thigh or your shin, or it can reach down and grab your right big toe. Use a block if you need here outside of your right foot. Stretch your left hand up. Good. Start to rebend that right knee. Square off towards the floor. Step back, Chaturanga. Inhale, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Knees to the floor as you inhale. Sit back to your heels. Exhale, Vajrasana. And just take a few breaths here. All right, coming forward onto your forearms, tuck your toes, press your legs to stand. Walk your feet in towards your elbows, lift your legs, maybe move it into Pincha Mayurasana, forearm stand. Maybe take a couple little hops or little floats up into the forearm stand. Press your ribs up, press your tailbone up, engage your legs, point your feet up, and slowly lower down. Press your arms to straight, downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Step or hop up top of the mat. Inhale. Exhale. Lower down from handstand or fold in and hug into your legs. Inhale, come all the way up. And release. Exhale, Samastitihi. Drop back down into that Malasana garland pose. Let the weight fall into your heels. Move around again if you need to. Stretch some things out. Neck, head, shoulder rolls, whatever feels good. And so this time we're going to take that right foot back so you can take that lizard stretch on the left side. Let the left knee and toes point in the same direction. And again, you can forward fold here. You can walk out to the side, keeping the left knee going straight forward Without letting that left knee follow, stretch out that left side body. Try to let your left hand walk off a little farther than your right hand. It'll really fire up that right side body stretch, or that left side body stretch. Come back through center, prepare for that low lunge. Press into the front edge of your left heel. And inhale, create a nice C shape in the back of your body. Let your thumb stretch back. Last breath here, deepen if you can, and then release, exhale slowly. Start to tuck those right toes and turn your right heel down so that you can open the right hip up to the ceiling and straighten out that left leg, Utthita Trikonasana. Triangle pose, look up to your right hand, watch all 5 fingers press up to the ceiling. And keep that right heel rooted. Tall spine, strong core. Rebend your left knee so you can square your body off to the floor and step back, Chaturanga. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. And then again, slowly take your knees to the floor. Sit back towards your heels. In fact, this time if you want to move into Virasana, hero pose, sit down inside your heels. All of the toes point straight back. And then make your way out into tabletop pose. And lower your forearms down. Prepare for Pincha Mayurasana again. So if you kicked up with one leg, whichever side you did before, do the second side this time. Maybe balance in a little split pose. Maybe bend the leg that just came off the floor until you find your balance. Legs are the last thing to happen in this posture. So if you feel a little wobbly, try bending one leg. There you go. Lower down slowly. Press into downward facing dog. Exhale. And then start to transition back to the top of the mat. Step or hop up. Exhale. Forward fold. Inhale. Come up to Urdhva Hastasana, upward hand. And then exhale. Release Samastitihi. From standing pose. Okay, so catch your breath if you need, apparently. Start to move into Warrior 3. So spread out the surface area of the right foot. Stretch back through your left foot as you hinge your torso forward. That left leg lifts up behind you. And then step your left leg back, bend the right knee to do so. Then straighten your right leg as you inhale, and exhale, take your left hand down, either inside, on top of, or outside of your right foot. Roll the right ribs open, stretch the spine long, tall here, and then stretch your right hand up to the ceiling. Keep drawing that left hip crease back and dropping that left sit bone. Release the twist, turn into Prasarita Padottanasana, wide leg standing forward fold. Grab your big toes here for D variation. Let the top of your head move down towards the floor. Tall spine here. Inhale, look up halfway. Turn your heels in, toes out. Mahamalasana, goddess squat. You can use your hands on your thighs for a little support if this is too exhausting or too much pressure in your ankles or knees. And then press to stand. Turn the right toes out. Turn the right knee out. Bend the right knee 90 degrees. Utthita Parshva Konasana. Extended side ankle. Stretch that left arm straight overhead. Lift the inner left thigh away from the floor. And then spin to square yourself to the floor. Chaturanga. Exhale as you step that right foot back. Inhale, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. Exhaling slowly into downward facing dog. Take a couple breaths in up dog if that feels good. And then when you're ready, transition back to Adho Mukha Svanasana. And take a couple breaths here too if that feels good. And slowly within your next breath or so, you're going to take your knees down, Pincha Mayurasana again, try to float your legs up. Maybe you're going for some split variations here. Maybe you're playing with some leg variations. Use your feet, use your legs, use your core. And if you wobble or fall, don't get frustrated with it. Use a wall if you want. Just understand that it's always different. Each time you approach the posture, it changes. And then back to the top of the mat as you finish that arm balance. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, come all the way to stand, stretch your hands up, and exhale, release your arms to the side. You're going to do warrior 3 on the second side now. So take a couple breaths if you need to. Mentally prepare here, physically prepare. Yeah, fan yourself off there. We're doing good. Got 2 thumbs up. And slowly start to pivot yourself forward with the torso. Inseam of your right leg up to the ceiling. Stretch your arms forward if you want. That left leg is strong. And you're going to land with the right foot deep at the back of your mat for warrior 1. Inhale, and then stretch that left leg straight so that you can exhale. Transition easily into revolved triangle, Trikonasana. So the right hand comes now to the floor, either inside, on top of, or outside your left foot. Stretch your left arm straight up and keep pulling the crown of your head out, straight out away from the tailbone as you rotate your torso from the ribs up. And then spin off to the long edge of your mat so you can parallel your feet with either end of the mat. Forward fold into Prasarita Padottanasana. The outer thighs pull away from each other so you can feel that firm foundation in the feet. Little Padabandha. Drop your sit bones as you turn your toes and knees out. Mahamalasana, arms straight out. Makes it a little easier. Arms straight up, make it a little harder. Push yourself, challenge yourself. You'll make it. You'll know when to stop. Transition into that side angle, so just slowly opening up. And exhale. Left knee 90 degrees bent. Left hand on the outside of the left foot or elbow to the thigh. And then spin that right arm up overhead. Biceps roll behind the ears. Keep pressing into the outer edge of your right foot. And step back, chaturanga. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, cobra or upward facing dog. Exhaling slowly into downward facing dog. So again, take as long as you need in either of these postures. Moving around is always okay to do. Knees to the floor. Sit back, take a moment, stretch your thighs. And then when you're ready, Pincha Mayurasana. And after you do this about 4 or 5 times, you really get exhausted and you're done. So know when to stop. Good. Slowly lower down. Straighten your arms out. Exhale, downward facing dog. Chaturanga, exhale from plank, and then gonna do some belly back bends here. So Shalabhasana A, locust A. You're gonna take those fingernails all 10 to the floor. Stretch your hands back as you lift your chest, lift your feet. Then switch it into locust B, Shalabhasana B, by placing your hands on the floor next to your waist. Elbows 90 degrees bent. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Knees to the floor, sit back in between the heels, Virasana. Take a moment here. If you need a block under your sitting bones, place a block under there or a blanket or anything that will lift your hips up a little higher to take the pressure out of your knees. And then if you'd like to recline, go ahead and walk your hands back to your feet, dropping onto your elbows. And slowly lower back. You can stop halfway, maybe just remain on your elbows or place a pillow behind you to rest on. If you are in Supta Virasana, supine hero, go ahead and let your arms come overhead and just release here, palms face up. To come out of this posture, push your hands into your heels and then pull yourself up out of the floor, off the floor, and come into tabletop pose. Just move around a few times to release that low back. If it's fragile on the way into child's pose, take a few more moments in tabletop and wiggle around, stretch it out. But eventually you'll end up in Balasana, stretching out, and then come forward into tabletop and exhale, downward facing dog. And then prepare to jump through, come to seated. You can step or hop up and then lower down to seated, or you can practice a jump through. Once you get there, take that left heel next to your left hip in half hero, and then walk that right foot up so your right knee is bent. Place your right foot directly in front of your right sitting bone. Bind around your right leg and go forward fold here. Marichyasana E. Release that as you inhale, look up, simply step back, downward facing dog. Go slowly with that left leg. It might feel it coming out of that. Chaturanga, exhale, lower down. Inhale, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana. And step or hop through again. This time you're going to take your right heel alongside your right hip. All 5 toes point straight back. Take your left heel up in front of your left sit bone from an inside and around the front of your left shin. Wrap your left arm. Reach your right hand back so the left hand can catch it. And bow in here. Inhale, lift and release the bind. And then step right on back, downward facing dog. Slowly getting out of that right leg. Come forward into plank as you inhale, exhale, chaturanga, and inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Lift that right leg as you inhale, stretch it up. Sweep through, bend that right knee 90 degrees, put the foot on the floor in between your hands, and then start to pull back into half splits, Ardha Hanumanasana. Wiggle the right foot forward if you need more space, but keep that left hip stacked over your left knee. And then go long over your right leg as you flex your right ankle. Start to slide it through for full splits if you would like, or if it's available to you to practice. Squaring those hips off. If you want to forward fold here, inhale, reach up, and then exhale, walk your hands out towards your foot. You can keep the back toes tucked, or you can point the left foot straight back to release that psoas even further. And then on your next inhale, slowly make your way back up to seated and sweep that left foot forward a little bit so you can set up for pigeon pose. Once you roll under your right hip, get your right knee set up for Ekapada Kapotasana. You can then stretch your left leg back behind you, straight back from your left sit bone. Exhale, forward fold over your right shin. Your right heel and your left hip bone are friends right now, so get them together. And then if you want to twist here, you can take your left arm under the right. And I like to use my top, that right hand there, to press the left hand through even more. Resist the hips getting out of alignment here, so make sure that the hips stay level and square. Inhale, release your twist, and then step back, downward facing dog. Inhale, plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog, and exhale, downward facing dog. Stretch your left leg up, 3-leg dog. And step through, bend that left knee 90 degrees, set your right knee down behind the right hip, and then start to pull your left leg straight so that the left hip or the right hip stacks over your right knee. Go ahead and wiggle that left heel through if you need more space. Draw your left hip crease back and the right hip forward. And then you can go long over your left leg, flexing that left ankle, letting your shoulder blades slide down the length of your spine, hug in. And then if you need to stretch back leg back more, left front leg more forward more, go ahead and do that. Hanumanasana, forward fold, exhale. And then slowly inhale, come up out of this. Just take that right knee forward long enough to roll off to your left hip and prepare your left knee for pigeon prep. And then again, your right hip bone and your left heel are lined up there. Stretch the right leg back, point those toes back. Keep your right thigh in line. So from pigeon pose, you're going to make your way back into that downward facing dog shape and then work on a few handstand hops or presses or legs flailing in the air, which is kind of what I was doing this day. A nice little progression to get into handstand is to take a tuck, knees to chest, and lift it up. And I don't know what happened there with my legs, but apparently I felt like doing a little scissor kick and getting fancy. So just have fun with it. Whatever you do, laugh, and don't take it too seriously. And then when you're finished with handstands, take child's pose, knees to the floor. When you're finished with all that, step hop through any way you want to get there, come back to seated, and then take a seated forward fold, Paschimottanasana. Let this be a relaxing energizing kind of like a in between the two posture. So it gives you a chance to catch your breath and prepare for twist, just stabilizing your hips. So bind up here in Ardha Matsyendrasana, half fish pose, the right foot on the outside of your left thigh, and then left elbow can hook the right knee or hug around and bind. Inhale, release the bind. And then draw the soles of the feet together, Baddha Konasana, bound angle pose. Just let your legs fall open without getting too aggressive there. It's a nice little counter pose in between sides. Now you're going to take that left foot on the outside of your right thigh, hook your right elbow, and bind up here if you can, or just simply keep your elbow hooked. Make sure your left foot is pressing flat on the floor. And you're rolling that left shoulder blade in and down towards the sacrum, opening the left shoulder. Let your gaze go in the same direction as your collarbones, or the left collarbone rather, or your sternum. Release the bind on the inhale, shake it out. And one more time, revisit bound angle, Baddha Konasana, soles of the feet toward each other or together, and then open the inner arches up. And release that inhale, coming up to seated. Open your legs out, Upavishta Konasana. Flex your ankles. Draw that pinky toe edge of your foot back in towards your hip crease, and then go long out towards the center. Use hands on the floor or blocks, or rest on a pillow if this feels best. On your inhale, lift back up. Draw your legs in. Boat pose, Paripurnavasana. Use your hands on the backs of your thighs if you need a little assistance here. And then come into Ardha Navasana, half boat pose. Some little knee in, squeeze. And just take a few of these, about 10 each side. Alternating your breath, inhaling, exhaling. I like to do 10 each side, so 20 total. And then switch to a straight leg. Sweeping those legs up and down, hovering without letting them touch. Lift your shoulder blades. Press your low back down in towards the floor. Hollow out here and just scissoring those legs up and down. And then squeeze in. Stretch your feet up. Stretch your hands up. Try to get your fingers to your toes. Try to get your tailbone up to the ceiling. And then catch those toes. Oh, yeah, there you go. And then release. Come back to the floor with your back. Open your legs. And let your low back rest here, but try to lift your tailbone off the floor. You might feel some intensity here in the hip flexors. So if you need to take your feet in a forward or backward direction, adjust until it feels good, but you still feel some heat in the core. Legs straight up, and then exhale, squeeze your knees in, Apanasana. Twist off to the left as you exhale. Open that right arm up beside you. Inhale through center, give it a little rock and roll, and then exhale off to the right. Let your left arm open up beside you. And then with your next inhale, take your knees back up through center, squeeze in. Catch your toes, take them overhead towards the floor above you, behind you. Supta Paschimottanasana, a supine forward fold. So you can stretch out your back chain here. Move it into shoulder stand or stick with that reclining forward fold. So walk your hands to your back, bend your elbows, walk your elbows in toward each other. All 10 fingers point up to the ceiling. If you bend your knees first and take your knees to the ceiling and then straighten your legs up, you might have a better placement here. Some good alignment. Take those legs forward a little bit more. Lower your toes over your head. Let your toes hit the floor and let them slide back into Halasana plow pose. If your feet hit the floor, take your hands behind your back and interlace your fingers. Keep your gaze steady here at your belly. Chin in line with sternum. Legs straight. And then slowly roll out one vertebra at a time. Just move your head around side to side. Matsyasana fish pose. This is a modification. It's a little prep. And then you can move into Uttanapadasana. You can stretch your feet up and your arms up. Keep your head on the floor. A little arch in your back. Ujjayi breath here. Don't forget that. And then release that, elbows to the floor to inhale. Lift your head and roll back down. And stretch out fingertips to toes. Exhale, pull yourself up to seated. And just move it out. You're going to come to seated and take a pranayama practice. So lotus is my favorite place to practice pranayama. Make sure that you take a comfortable seated position that works best for you. When you settle in, take a deep inhale in through your nose, exhale, and then you're going to practice with Nadi Shodhan. Inhale through your left, seal, and exhale out of your right. Inhale back in through your right, seal that, and exhale out of your left. That's round one. On your next inhale, back in through your left, seal your left, exhale out of your right. Inhale back in through the right. Seal that side, exhale out of your left. Inhale back in through your left, exhale out of the right, using your right hand to seal off the nostrils, alternating the breathing. Seal your right, exhale out of your left. On your inhale, back in through the left, and slowly exhale out of the right. Inhale back in through the right, seal, and exhale out of the left. Inhale back in through your left, seal that, exhale out of the right. Inhale right, seal, exhale left. Release your hands, inhale through both nostrils, and exhale out of both. And just notice how you feel. Notice the energy. Notice that balance calm. So there's that balanced state of energy, awareness, but this sense of calm and peace and quiet. And then as you slowly come out of that seated position, take that calm and peace, and that awareness, that balance, and you're just going to slowly move into headstand. I love finishing my practice with headstand. It feels very meditative for me. In fact, I like to close my eyes down here and just feel my body in space from the inside out, rather than experiencing this as a posture. So if you're not quite there at Shirshasana, you don't feel safe putting all the weight on your head, just enjoy dolphin pose, legs up against the wall, legs up in the air. And just give yourself a position where you can invert and close your eyes down and really go inward. And feel the balanced state of your body, and just feel yourself in space, how you exist, how you move through it. And even when you're not moving, you still feel that flow, that balance, that energetic movement that's happening when you breathe. I like to practice headstand for about 20 breaths. It ends up being about 2 minutes. So take your time. If you are in headstand and you feel like you need to come out of it, pause, take child's pose. Maybe you come back into it for a few extra breaths. Or maybe you know it's time to be done with that posture and you rest in child's pose. You can always use a wall for headstand if you need that support there, even if it's just the mental support. Slowly lower down, take your knees to the floor, and sit back. Child's pose if you're not there already. And just take a few moments to cycle out the breath here. Reground. If you were on your back and legs in the air, you can enjoy Apanasana, knees to chest. And then you can slowly make your way to seated so that you can transition into a resting posture. And just move right into it. No wiggling around, no messing around. Just feel your body being held by the floor here. Let it just flatten out on its own. There are no tricks, no gimmicks. It's just you resting on your back, letting your breath cycle in and out. Take as long as you need here. So if you're going to spend a few moments, just let the video rather, fade on out. At the end of your practice, come to seated. Bow to your efforts here and everywhere. Thanks, yogis. Happy holidays.